Hi, this is Joette with Balloon Coach, and I am so glad that you are joining me today about a topic that's really, really important to me, and that is value. So many times when we're determining what our prices are going to be for our balloon decor, we don't value ourselves at a high enough rate. So when you went online and you saw this class, a couple of the things that you saw were building blocks. Spelling out different words, and those words were value, service, quality, support, loyalty, and price. And it's so important that when we are determining the price of our decor, we think of those other things. One of the things that I'm going to give to you by tomorrow is we're going to have a blog that's going to have the overview of today's class. Plus, it's going to have the link to the replay on my YouTube channel. So wanted to let you know that you will have that to be able to look at things in writing and be able to check things out and kind of replay some of the information. So at this point, I'm going to turn myself off and I'm going to have you see the words that are up on my screen. Value. It's to regard something that's held to deserve, the importance, the worth, or usefulness of something. Your support is of great value. Other times it's to estimate the monetary worth of something. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to estimate the monetary worth of your time and the things that you put in for your clients. I want you to kind of just look at those words because it's important for you to have a value on yourself and for you to understand that your time is important. When I first look at the value, I'm going to look at 5 different things. The number one thing is valuing yourself. Do you understand that being the owner of a company is totally different than being an employee? Many times when people join the balloon industry, they are getting into the industry because they had been in a job that they did not enjoy. They found balloons and fell in love with it. And now, as they go into their business, they're used to having a salary or maybe just an hourly pay of $8.25 is the average pay in the United States. Or it may be that you're looking at other businesses where people get paid $10 an hour, $12 an hour. And so you kind of have those numbers in your head that when you go to a job cost form, you're thinking that your hourly wage should only be $12 an hour or maybe $20 an hour. But what you have to look at is there are so many things that you do as an owner of a business that give a higher value than just plugging a number in of $12 or $15 an hour to something. So the number one thing I want you to know is that when you're coming up with your numbers is you need to value yourself and understand that when you stepped out of that role of whatever your other job used to be and now stepped into being a business owner, you deserve more money because you're going to have more headaches, you're going to have more frustrations, and you have more responsibility than when you were an employee at another job. So you have to value yourself and value your time. Number 2, you're going to look at online resources. Those online resources that I'm going to suggest to you are entrepreneur.com, and I'm going to set this up for you. Hopefully you can see this. Is that entrepreneur.com, payscale.com, and salary.com allow you to go and type in your zip code and different types of jobs. So as you're looking at that, you can make sure that you know what other people in your area get paid to, let's say, be a cake decorator or something like that. You want to kind of know in your area how much does an accountant get paid, how much is a dentist, a baker, an event planner. Look at those other industries in your area and how much people are getting paid. A third way for you to determine pricing and value on your time is to talk to other business owners, talk to other people in the balloon industry. When you're looking at the value that you're placing on the people that work for you, often people get paid $10 to $20 an hour throughout the industry from the people that I know. I used to pay my first time people $10, and then as they started working with me, we went to 12, and then my crew leader was at 15 when I sold the business back in January. Other crew leaders will get paid an actual salary for the year, or they will get paid a higher amount per event because they're in charge of everything that's going on. So you want to be able to know that there's going to be a range when you're figuring out pricing. There's a different value you put on yourself as the owner versus the value you put on the people who work for you and that are helping you build at your events. So use the online resources that we had of the entrepreneurial resource, the payscale.com and salary.com to help you look at different numbers in your area, just to start looking at, oh, how much do people get paid an hour? Or how much do people normally get for a salary for the year? The other thing I want you to look at is when you're determining your value, I want you to look at that big picture of being an owner. What are all those hats that you wear? And write these numbers down. Look them up. What would you pay for a salary for a receptionist for the year? What would you pay a floral designer? Since we're balloon artists, a lot of times that's not something that you can easily find, but you can find floral designers or floral cost. What would a salesperson get paid to go out and market your business and bring in new clients? What does a supply clerk get paid to order all of the supplies that you need, inventory them, and put them away? What would a person who creates the designs and goes out and inflates the balloons for you, what would the delivery man get paid? And now you can see what an owner should get paid, because you're going to look at all of those different things combined and understand that you need to have a higher value on yourself than you did when you were working in an office setting and working for someone else, because you now have the responsibility of putting all those hats on your head. One of the things I did is I went online and I looked up what do people get paid as an average salary as a business owner. And one of the things I wanted to show you is, pardon me for just a second as we pull it up. We're going to go online to, I just want to show you how to Google things. You can go right up here and say, what does a florist make in Florida? And you can type in those kind of things and be able to get a lot of different articles on that specific area and do your research. So again, if we're going to, and I apologize, I just went this off track, is if you also go on and type in payscale.com, it allows you to go right into the app and type in things to find out what you're worth. And I'm able to sit there and type in and get a free salary report. So check these things out and see what you can come up with. Do some research that's meaningful in your area to help you out. When I checked to see what the salary was for my area, for event planners and for case managers and insurance salesmen, just to kind of get an idea, an insurance salesman can make anywhere from $24,000 a year to $64,000 a year. And why did I put insurance salesman? At one point in my life, I actually was one for about a year and a half. And the skills that I learned from being in sales has helped me so much in closing my sales and helping people out and finding the services that they need when they're calling me, that looking at your area and seeing what salespeople make, that's a really important piece of the puzzle when you're determining your value. Look up what a dental assistant makes. Those are people who are trained employees, but they're not running always independently on their own. They kind of work within an office, but they do a set task. that gives you an idea of what you should pay the people who work for you. And in my area, a dental assistant gets paid from $11 an hour to $21 an hour. Another past career of mine was case management. And I was looked that up, and the average salary for a case manager is anywhere from $27,000 to $48,000 a year. So when I left my job as a person who worked in case management, I was making around $36,000 a year. And I knew whatever business I went into, wanting to work for myself, that I needed to be able to generate an income of over $36,000 a year. Now, the reason I say it had to be over $36,000 a year is because at $36,000 a year, I was getting insurance. I had other benefits from my employer. I had time off. I had sick leave, vacation. So when you now go to work for yourself, you're going to need to pay yourself more to be able to compensate for when you're taking a vacation or when you take sick time if you have to hire somebody else to work in your place. So think about those numbers, where you're currently at in your job, if you are still working outside of the balloon industry, or now moving forward and you're in the balloon industry full time. How much money do you want to make a year? How much do you value and see as your worth after putting together the different monies that are out there of how much people in different industries make? And for some people, it might be that you want to make $100,000 a year. Some people, it may be like myself, and it was $36,000 a year. Other people, they may only need $10,000 a year or $500 a month extra. So what you have to look at is no matter where you are on that pay scale of how much you want to make in a year, you need to write it down and make a business plan, understanding what your overhead is so that you can see, okay, in a year, I'm going to spend this much money on insurance and rent and supplies. And then that is key number 5, is all of your overhead and things that are going to go in. Number 4, we're going back up the scale, is we are going to look at all of the things that you do as an owner and how much you really see yourself as being worth. Number 3, you're going to talk to other business owners and find out how they kind of determine how much they make in a year in their business. It really helps to be in networking groups. And then you're going to use the online resources. And the number one thing you're going to do is value yourself and your time and understand that when you're looking at this entire picture, when you first went to your job cost form and said, oh, well, I should get paid $20 an hour. Okay, well, after you take out other expenses and other time away from just creating a beautiful balloon column, how much time did you invest in that event? So you need to make sure that you create a salary for yourself or an hourly wage that puts all of that into perspective. This really hit home the other day. Yesterday, I got a wonderful message from a balloon artist. She's primarily an entertainer and has gone into decor. She worked outside of the balloon industry for years. And when she started her decorating business and her entertaining, she never realized how much more money she needed to tack on to her worth than she was getting when she was working in a 9-to-5 job. Because your responsibilities are so much greater, your time is taken, so you have to really think this out. It's not just a 5-minute answer. You have to explore all these different things and see what's right for you. The other thing that I always did when I was looking at my value and also being able to determine pricing is I found out what the average was across the United States, and I also found out what the average was in my area. I'm not by any means telling you to go out and make it where we all charge the exact same thing, because you can't. Nobody's overhead is the same. Nobody's Goals are the same as far as what kind of family vacations you want to take and what kind of car you want to drive. That kind of determines when you go to the doctor. Some of your doctors may be driving a Volkswagen and the other doctors are driving a Mercedes. It depends on the level of knowledge they have typically. And for some doctors, it just depends on how many hours they want to work. If they're going to work in somebody else's office or if they want to take on owning their own office is going to determine how much money they make. So you have those same abilities to decide what's going to work best for you. The bottom line is, I know too many people that sell themselves for minimum wage or less. And yes, I did say that. I know too many people who, when you break down the hours that they spend putting a decor piece together, are making less than $8.25 an hour. That's crazy. Number one, you're going to go out of business because you're not making enough money. But it's all about understanding all these numbers and crunching them and doing your research to find out what is your true value. And if you're coming today thinking I was going to give you a cookie cutter answer, I'm sorry if I disappointed you. But what I think is most exciting about this is that you determining what your value is really up to you. And determining how much you can make in a year is going to be determined on your business plan and how you set up your business and how many clients you have coming to you. One thing that I have found over the years is every time I raised my rates, my business grew. And this is something that I heard from David Mahoney, and it's also something I heard from Tommy and Scott when they did webinars for me, is both of them and their businesses had also experienced the same thing. When they raised their rates, their business grew. They got more clients. And why is that? It's because people want to have high value events. They want to know they're getting the best. When you're having a special event, when you're celebrating your 50th anniversary, typically people are going to go to the baker and get a beautiful cake design for that rather than going to Walmart to buy that cake for their special day. Now, there's nothing wrong with buying your cake at Walmart, but typically when you have value on an event like a special occasion, like a 50th anniversary, you're going to go to the more upscale place to get your cake. So in the same thing, when you're creating a special event for someone, typically people are not always going to want to go with the cheapest. And if they are, that's not your customer. If they're just looking for the cheapest deal in town, then politely give them the phone number for Party City or any other box store in your area or grocery store that blows up balloons, and let them know to have a wonderful day and you look forward to working with them in the future. Your value is not determined by the people that call you. Your value is determined on the worth you put on yourself, the money that you put into your education and expanding your business. So again, so that this is not so confusing, I promise by tomorrow you'll see this all in my blog, and it will have a listing of the places that I told you that you can do some basic research, and you can also just Google that research so that you can have those 5 steps written down in front of you to look at. And what I would love to do is, as you go through these steps, I would enjoy you sending me a message and letting me know, hey, Joette, I used to qualify myself at $20 an hour, and now I've got myself up to $50 an hour, or whatever number you come up with. Part of ballooncoach.com is for me to help have a place where our industry can find out and learn from each other and kind of see where we're started at and where we grow to. So I would love to find out from you what you're currently putting in as your hourly wage, and then after going through this process, what you find yourself at a year from now or 2 months from now. So I hope that made sense. The bottom line is you can charge whatever you want in our industry and make money. As long as you're charging more than what the balloons cost you, your training costs you, and your overhead costs you, you have to determine, are you going to be the cheapest on the block, or are you going to make sure that you work for a wage that you can feel comfortable about and that will meet your goals, whether that be paying off a car payment or supporting your family. Balloons have an amazing profit margin, and it's totally up to you to determine your value and your worth. So I want to thank you for being here with me today to go over this. What I would like to know now is if you, the live folks that are on, if you have any questions about some of the things that I've covered, feel free to send me a note on the questions box right now and say, hey, Joette, I have a question about XYZ, and I'll be glad to elaborate a little bit more on the things that I've discussed. And while I wait for you to do that, what I wanted to do is let you know about a couple of fun things that are on my website. One is ballooncoach.com has a new look. And so as I told you, the blog is going to be updated tomorrow for you with a new link that will be to this, to replay it if you want, or share it with a friend and to see the notes. But I would like to share this blog with you while I'm waiting on people to ask any questions. This is something that helped me in determining some information about value. This is Ava, and Ava posted on Facebook, education is the key to success. When you invest in your education and training, it pays off big time. Thank you, Stephen Jones, for sharing your knowledge and technique. What I did is I then contacted Ava and asked her a little bit about her work. She had made this number 10 out of linking balloons after going to Stephen Jones' class. Her client had originally called her and had a certain price in mind that they wanted for their event. But after taking the class, she realized that she should tell this client about this amazing decor that she could create, and that she knew it was more money, but that they would be the talk of the town if they hired her to make this number 10. And because of the excitement in her voice and the value that she placed on herself, she then was able to turn that client into a higher budget client, and they bought the number 10. What was even more exciting to me is that Ava then invests in herself, and she builds balloon decor and practices at home after taking a class or seeing something online. And these two vases, she created them, posted them online, and then a client called and asked to buy them, and she sold them for $100 each. Those vases are made out of 6-inch quick links and then heart balloons for the flowers. She was practicing her technique, she put it out online, and then she valued her time and her training. She made the quote of $100 each and was paid that. So to me, that's kind of a perfect way to show you about how Ava values her time and her training and was able to put a price on an item that was more expensive than I know most people would charge. A lot of the people that I know that do decorating and the love of balloons, they may only charge $30 or $40 for that. But Ava really looked at how much time it actually took her and the money that she put into training, and she valued herself and sold that for what I felt was a very fair rate, especially if you go look at floral designs. If you ever question your prices in balloons, just walk into a floral store and find out that 3 little heads of flowers in a 6x6 vase is going to run you $35. This towers over 3 feet tall. What a wonderful value, and will last for over a week for that client and be beautiful, and it be an attention getter and something created just for that individual. So value your time. In the balloon industry, we are worth a lot of money because we are able to create amazing things. So I'm checking now to see if I had any other questions come in, and I did not. So what I'm going to let you guys know is I so appreciate you being here today and being a part of Balloon Coach and the programs that we have going on. We do have a class that's coming up and that is going to be wonderful. Every month we have a monthly speaker. So if for the month of November you would like to join us for our next person, it is Chris. and he is amazing. Chris Potts is from Buffalo, New York, and he values his time, and he makes great money every year at New Year's for a week, installing balloon drops all week long. So if you are nervous about balloon drops and never done them before, or you're not sure how to sell them and would like to sell them for graduations and proms and homecomings and weddings and other times other than just New Year's Eve, you want to be a part of his class, because he will give you the confidence in doing the drops and also the confidence in your sales conversation. So that is something that's so important as you grow your business and you look at your value, is over time you're becoming a master salesman. You're going to trainings to learn techniques of how to put your balloons together and how to create amazing decor that's going to stand the test of time and be outside for races and arches and New Year's Eve and special moments like graduation. So creating those kind of moments that make people go, wow, this is awesome, that has a high value to it. So when you're calculating how much money you should get paid at New Year's Eve, when that balloon drop comes open and 1,000 balloons come wilting down from the air, it's not about how much did those 1,000 balloons cost you. It's about how much is that effect worth. When people were just like, oh, this is awesome. It is the new year. It's 2016. Let's bring it on. It's what those balloons create and do for people in a moment that helps determine the value of your work and the price that you should set. So I hope this made sense today for you, that you understand that when you come up with your value, with that number that you're going to plug in to your job cost form, it's not about just an hourly wage, but it's about all the hats that you wear. It's about all the training you get to become a balloon professional, and it's about creating those amazing moments for people. All of those things add value into how much you should get paid as a business owner, and adds value into what you should pay your employees and the people that work with you to provide this amazing service. So I want to thank you for being here this afternoon. Feel free to send me messages on Facebook or send me an email, joette@ballooncoach.com. If you have questions about what we talked about today, or if there's parts of this topic that you would like me to elaborate on, obviously in this amount of time, I can't go through all the details with you. There's so much more I want to share in the future, but I wanted to give you some basic building blocks to help you look and expand your focus on how to determine what your rate of pay is. So thank you so much for being here, and have a wonderful afternoon.